Hey there, community. Jason Rahm here, and welcome to DevCentral Connects. We get to do these every now and then. We used to be like on a very frequent weekly basis, and we've scaled that back, but we're still happy to do these shows every now and again. And today we have a fantastic lab for you, and I'll bring my co-hosts, my guests here in just a couple of minutes. Maybe less than a couple of minutes. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to do a distributed cloud automation lab around app security. And so I'm really excited about that. I have not been through the lab yet, so I get to play the resident dummy to my experts who will join me here shortly. But I wanted to say, if you are not a member of DevCentral today, join us at community.f5.com. We cover content like this, as well as all the other products in the portfolio, solutions that you might be trying to wrestle to the mat and you get stuck on something. Join us there, ask a question. We have all kinds of article content. We do most of our video here on LinkedIn, Twitter, but we do have written content there, and just a myriad of people there in the forums to help answer your questions. We have a lab today, and then next Thursday, we also have a lab with WestCon, and we're going to do F5 distributed cloud DNS. So two for one special here in the next week. We get to do distributed cloud twice, but different functions within the portfolio. And so make sure to tune in again next Thursday. Okay, without further ado, let's get into this. I'll bring my guests on. All right. First, we have our big guest, Ted Byerly, automation engineer with WWT. He wrote the lab, and he's going to walk me through it. Dummy me. I'll get to walk through, and so we'll see how many assumptions Ted made of me in this lab. So, Ted, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Glad to be here. For the people that don't know me, I was at F5 for 8 years, moved over to WWT. And building labs in the ATC, right? Mostly automation labs. There's some ClickOps stuff that we're going to do the crawl, walk, run, but this one's definitely automation. And then, I'll let John kind of, when you introduce him, discuss the overview of the F5 platform, and we'll talk about this lab. I think it's easy. Obviously, I built it, and it was easy enough to run through after it was built. Let's say that.
Hey, there you go. And yeah, it's like, he was with F5 and then he left, but he just can't quit us. So we're glad you're here, John, or Ted. And John, Don Cowling, solution architect here with F5. How are you doing today?
I'm great, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. And so, before we get in, we got a couple things to address. We've got I got a comment from Mesmer. Please help me. I really want to learn F5. Come to DevCentral. Come to the events like this where you're here to learn, and join us on DevCentral. Build an account if you don't have one, and ask questions, get started, read, and we're here to help. And you can DM me on DevCentral as well, and I'll point you in the direction for whatever specifically about F5 you want to learn. I mean, there's a big portfolio, so any specifics that you have, reach out. Happy to help. And then Jose, how are you? Welcome to the show. Karim as well. And of course, we've got Mr. Boo out there, my esteemed colleague here on the DevCentral team. And
I'm sure that's what Boo's doing right now too, is mountain biking.
Yeah. Probably. He's very, has a great ability to multitask. So he is probably editing video while watching this video while mountain biking. And so, Marcin, welcome to the show. And then finally, Matt. Matt, hey, how you doing?
Hey, Matt. There we go.
Yep. And Matt and I and Ted, are you going to be out at Red Hat here in a couple weeks?
I am not. I was hoping to, but not this time. But
okay, not this time. Okay, but John, you're going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Matt a lot to do a lot of automation with F5, and we're going to be showing a lot of that after.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so just to promote the great things that you guys do at WWT. we've been through a few different labs with WWT before. Tyler Hatton hosted one on Ansible and one on Terraform maybe a couple years ago, but I'll share links from those labs that we've done in the past as well. And so I enjoy the partnership that we've had with your team on that.
It's great. Thank you.
All right. So without further ado, let's talk about F5 Distributed Cloud and what, first of all, just generally, what is F5 Distributed Cloud? And, because maybe there's a little bit of mystery around what it is and what it does. So for the audience, what is Distributed Cloud high level? And then we can dive down into the specific solution that we're going to be doing a lab on today. John, you want to tackle that first one?
I mean, that's probably the biggest question at F5, right? Is what is distributed cloud? I'll take a poke at it, and then we'll dive into some other stuff as we're getting into the lab today. But distributed cloud is a application solution, right, for applications anywhere. Now, that is a whole bunch of, marketing plus description plus all kinds of things. But as we think of what applications need, hosting, delivery, security, it could be augmentation, all of those parts of what an application actually needs, that's what distributed cloud is. So you could put applications in it. You can deliver applications from it. You can link applications together in distributed manner, right? And you can protect them. So it is all kinds of things, but it is very application focused. So as we jump through this lab and like even the DNS lab you're explaining next week, they're all parts of it. And it's expected that you use certain aspects of the tool to augment or to help with whatever you're working on. So it's a very large portfolio of application-centric, either SaaS or hybrid SaaS solutions.
Real quick, can you dial in on what is like the difference between SaaS and hybrid SaaS?
All right. So parts of the solution are 100% SaaS. The console, you will always go to the same place, whether you are a ClickOps user like we described a little bit ago, or you're a program user and you interface with the API or with the SDK, it is always to the SaaS console. The hybrid SaaS part of this is because I have the ability to run my services, those things I was describing earlier, 100% in F5 infrastructure. So it could be I run my application there, I place my security portfolio there, like what we're going to do in the lab today. It could be all kinds of things running 100% in F5 infrastructure along with the console. Hybrid SaaS means that we can also do all of those services. The same packages get deployed into a premise, right? So it could be in an on-premise data center on a piece of bare metal. It could be within a public cloud or a CSP. It could be within a Kubernetes cluster. So we take the same delivery packages and we place that someplace else. However, you will still always interact with it through the console. So you have this choice of I want to host everything in F5 infrastructure, or I want to host maybe part of it there and part of it someplace else. So it allows me to pick and choose the best place for the user experience. Maybe the application should be closer to the user. Maybe security practices should be closer to the user, but part of that application is hidden away and I need to provide some kind of delivery to it. So it allows us to do both things, which is very differentiating in this kind of markety application space.
Okay. Yeah. So for example, I've got an Intel NUC sitting down about 3 feet below me to the right. And
keeping your feet warm.
That's running the app stack in a CE in here. So that would be like the hybrid version of that, right? I've got a little
100%.
bit running not out in the cloud. And so I can run my own workloads here, manage those either through console, or I can connect my kubectl commands from here and run directly to the app stack. And so, yeah.
There are so many to add to there are so many cool things. AppStack is probably one of my favorite parts of it because it takes a concept of Kubernetes and then it lays it across a global footprint. Now, I know we're not talking about that today, but having a managed Kubernetes in the NUC under your desk and then also having it sit across all of the F5 infrastructure. So kubectl deploy pod and it goes there and it goes there. mean, that's amazing. There's not something else that I know of on the planet that does that. So there's some really cool things around AppStack itself, but it also has all the other features too, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Ted,
Yes.
can you kind of walk us through the solution that we're going to automate today, and just from maybe just an overview of what the solution is that we are automating, and then at a high level how you approached taking a ClickOps experience and moving it into an automation experience.
You bet. So some big questions there, like a lot of things, right? I'm going to unpack it. So the first idea was, hey, we really want to show how easy, per se, or how quickly you could deploy some security protections using F5's distributed cloud to an existing premise, right? John talked about on-premise, cloud premise, whatever, but you really don't have security. Maybe you do have security, but now you're looking at F5's delivery model. You're looking at the SaaS application. You're looking at some just to deliver security, right? So what this lab basically does is, as you go through it, you're going to create your account, right? You're going to launch it from WWT's ATC lab pages. You're going to launch it there. You don't have an account at F5 Distributed Cloud, right? So you're going to supply a username and password. It's going to create an account in Distributed Cloud with you at WWT's tenant. It's going to create that, get it back to you. You're going to log into that cloud. You're going to get some credentials, which you're going to need to authenticate to the API. And after that, in the backend, as you progress along this app, we're going to build that private application in AWS in a VPC. Obviously, it's an Nginx app, right? F5, but it's not protected. And we're going to go to that right on the internet and show you it's available. It's there. It was built in real time. It's not up and running yet, but as soon as you launch the app, it will be. After that's running, then we're going to take you over to F5. And again, we're not going to, just so happens I wear a Hashi t-shirt today. I didn't mean to, but hey, that's what we're talking about. We're going to go over, and we're not here to teach you Terraform per se, but what we're here to do is show you how easy with the right files to deploy a security solution, right? And the security solution is going to be F5 Distributed Cloud WAP solution, which has a firewall, a load balancer, and points back to your origin pool at AWS, and it's done. And you're going to see that deployment happen in less than 3 minutes. So you have an existing security stack that you need to protect in 3 minutes with the right tools and the right timing. It's going to deploy that security for you. And then there's some tools in the background that are going to generate some traffic. You're going to see how quickly we're going to take you back to the UI, and you're going to see how quickly it's blocking traffic and recognizing that traffic.
I'm going to add a little bit to the journey because I'm the same way, right? When I create something, I'm very ClickOpsy to figure out what the flow is, which inherently is what the flow will be on an API side. So a little bit of the journey, like make sure it works. But the console itself is a representation of the API. So as you're building things out, it not only will give you example, right, of exactly what that code blob is. Now you're using Terraform to actually deploy all of this stuff. So the raw API and the Terraform provider are, of course, two different things, but it gives you a very primed example of what it would take for the Terraform resources. So I can then do all the ClickOps, maybe grab the configuration as it came out, and then I know, okay, I need to use this resource. I need to do these settings on the resource. So it makes it really easy to go from one to the other.
Yeah, cool. Yep. Okay, so I had Ted, you mentioned that this is going to be done in 3 minutes or less. So that's you've drawn up the gauntlet. So we're going to have to time us when we get there.
Well, the 3 minutes is the deployment of the Terraform against.
Oh, not the whole app yet. Yes,
not the whole app.
Right. Yeah, not a problem at all. It's not related to what we're talking about, but I want to mention it real quick. Karim, you mentioned about Next and CM on VMware Workstation. You can install it. It's not supported on Workstation or Fusion, but you can install it. I've got an article out on DevCentral that'll walk you through it. And hardware, R series 4800 not mentioned. I think all the R series is eventually going to be supported, but I'm not quite sure on the hardware side. But for the VMware side, supported on ESXi, yes, will work on VMware and Fusion and Workstation. But get your RAM ready for CM. Because I think CM, you can't pare that one down. That one's 16 gigs of glory for that, and so I've got it running on my iMac, to spin it up real quick. But most of the time, it's on my Nook that's got 64 gigs of RAM.
Well, a quick shameless plug. I'm working with John. We have a learning path over here coming at WWT. It's going to be all Next, all CM, all on VMware, and there's probably going to be 10 labs. So be looking for that too.
That one I'm really excited for. I'll answer that 4800 question. All hardware will support it in the R series or Velos platform size, right? So it's just that right now the 2Ks and the 4Ks haven't been released. So you'll see that later this year.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So I think we've talked long enough. Do you guys want to get into actually doing this lab? We'll talk throughout the lab, but let's why don't we get moving on what we're actually going to cover today. And I'm going to go ahead and launch my lab on my view while we talk about yours.
There you go. And if you go to that solution page, right, that's something we talked about. I do have descriptions, what's going on, the hardware and software you use, and the resources, and kind of give some overall lab diagram that John talked about. It's anywhere, right? Any premise, any app.
You sound like our slides.
I know. Anywhere, any app, any.
Yeah.
I might have been at F5 for a while and still have all that marketing.
Yeah, you sound well trained in that.
Did you already launch, or are we watching just TED stuff right now?
Oh, that's.
We're looking at TED stuff. Yeah, I'm launching now. Do you want me to switch over to mine?
Yeah,
I thought you were going to walk through a couple things.
Oh, I could, but that was just a lab diagram. Okay, goals, objectives here. When we do this lab, hardware and software, EC2, we're using Terraform 12.9, right? Some providers, Volterra Edge. It's all I'm using. And we'll discuss that more in the Terraform section, but that was kind of the lab going forward. So ATC or WWT's webpage, ATC down here, labs and learning path, search for them all. It's in there if you want to launch it.
You can also find it from the partner side. So if you're curious about other labs and the stuff that Ted was leading you to for Next, I know there's some people listening in here for Next. If you go to the partner page on WWT, it lists all the labs. And right now there's almost 70, or we may be over 70 labs, starting out with learning paths, coming up, pretty quickly. So, and in case we didn't talk about this, because I don't think we did, there's no real hurdle for you to sign up for the WWT page. I know Jason already had one, and so does Ted, and so does myself, but it's just an email address. So there's no account needed. There's nothing special for creating a WWT account.
Yeah, and Ted, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what the recommendation is that you sign up with your work email, because that there's no like back-end gauge or whatever or validation on work emails. But if you sign up like a Gmail, it might take you a little longer to get to where there's some validation and whatnot.
Yeah, they'd like you to use your work email if you can, right? Obviously, WWT is a reseller, one of the largest resellers of F5. So, and that's why I'm here building these labs, just to showcase in the ATC, right? Sometimes how easy or what we're doing or how to do it.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and switch over to my screen here. It's the same as yours.
There you go.
I'm going to move us over here to the side so I can get my lab window. Let's see. That should be good enough. Okay. So we're going to set up the F5 distributed cloud account. I tend to talk or launch as I'm doing stuff.
Start or launch at the bottom. Either one work.
Start or launch. Okay. Two options to get moving.
Two options. And then again, we give some description, right? So some more descriptions as your labs launch. And what's happening here is the lab platform's now starting to build the Terraform infrastructure that all the lab environments are. So all these lab environments are on demand. It's not up and running at any time, including the future ones with vApps and VMware. So this right here takes a minute. So eventually what we do is just kind of go through the screen and talk. You can scroll down and go screen to screen about what it is.
Hey, real quick before we move on to this, John or Ted, can you guys talk through this diagram a little bit? It's busy, And so can you just kind of, walk through flow of what this is representing?
Yeah, I'll take a first stab because the slide is very busy, right? The most crucial parts of the slide are going to be the purple ones. Now, what I was describing earlier as far as the software packages, right? Those are the purple things that are living on the different parts of the slide. Now, the F5 global network, the one that's living there right in the middle, that contains all of the software packages. That contains the hosting software package as well as the mesh software package. And that allows us, as you're hosting applications or delivering some kind of security feature, that allows us to run that feature there. Should be pretty clear. The outside of the slide are wherever you would have the let's say the origin or the protected resource that you want it to live. Now you can see some of them are broken apart. When it's in the global network, AppStack and the multi-cloud mesh endpoints are together. But when you start to build out what your infrastructure looks like, you may use some of those features. The NUC that's living under Jason's desk, right? That's an AppStack side, right? So he gets to run applications in that. You could also use just the cloud mesh endpoints, which are where the firewall lives that you're going to see today. Also the load balancer if you needed to do that. The, let's say, programmatic pieces and like routes or the JavaScript injections, like all of those kind of application-centric focuses could also be distributed out. So it's trying to explain that there is infrastructure that you can use that's just ours, and you get to do it with the console. That's the top thing, right? It's also explaining that you can place these software suites wherever you are so we can meet you there.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ted.
Oh, I was just going to say, and you're almost done. The time represented over on the right is pretty accurate usually, right? There's some internet speeds involved, but this is building out. There you go, prior to. So,
don't click start yet. I want to add to this.
Take your clever little sayings down there from like Homebrew.
Yeah, it is automated. Little hamsters are running or squirrels are getting ready.
I like the hamster one.
The robot overlords.
Before you hit start, because I know no one's
sorry.
late.
It's all right.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Yeah. All right. Fill the form, click submit. So
quick email address there. Whatever you want to use, you're going to get something.
All right. So for those of you watching, that's how to get a hold of me in email. My inbox is a dumpster fire though, so you're probably better at DMing me on DevCentral. Yeah, I've never really figured out email management. It's terrible.
Yep. Hit submit. You got input record at the top. We're going to fix that a little bit so it's prettier, right? So now this is kicking off the back end thing where you're going to get your email. It's going to create your user account in distributed cloud. So now if you follow the notes, check. So what we do, we check that you submitted a valid email, because if you don't, it's going to give an error, right? Copy the password's good. And we have a suggested password, right?
Yeah, I'm going to unshare real quick because I think my oh wait, I'm not sharing that email that screen, so I should be fine.
Yeah. So
let me go to my junk email.
Go ahead and check real quick, and it'll launch the email to you. You might have just hit check real quick.
Okay.
And that's when you get your email.
Gotcha.
So it's a real email. So now you know that you can send emails to Jason in his dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is creating that console access for you. WWT has a tenant with all of the features in it. And what you're getting is a limited time access for those features. So Jason, of course, has his own access to the F5 tenants and, myself included. But this is giving you access into the WWT one. So for a limited period of time, right?
Now make sure you keep the right password or a generic password or something you remember, because it's going to be used several times throughout here. But that's access to the distributed cloud.
Right. So I could use my suggested password, or
I could
use,
you're going to have to get back in a terminal. So I would not use a suggested one here from 1Password, because you're not going to have access to 1Password in my terminal on the other side. So that's why in that solution, I just said copy this password.
Yeah, I did copy that. So
okay, that's the one I would use.
Okay.
Or a real simple one that just meets complexity requirements that you always remember. I just wouldn't use it in a password manager where it's that complex. Otherwise, you're going to struggle with that. So
Yep.
Okay, now,
Okay.
so it's been there. Now go back to your lab. There you go.
All right. So start.
And there's a lot of marketing stuff to the right if you would have clicked some more stuff about the platform, but we're talking about it, so it's not really that important.
We got that already.
Yep.
Okay.
Now you're here.
So, did I get to a login?
Yep. No, not that page. That's your regular email. So you just discard your regular email now. Don't go back there. Everything here will be from now the lab gateway and this jump. Just there you go.
So where am I supposed to? Oh, stay in here.
Yep, you're already logged in. Yeah, that's your
you're
work
in there.
window now.
So now just hit activities if you're familiar with Ubuntu up top, right?
Okay, there we go.
Then you go. Your action was there. You go. Scroll down.
Once you get below action,
there we are. All right. There we gave you a URL of WWT's console to paste into Firefox.
All right. Oh, that's going to be a Control V, isn't it?
There's okay, so let's talk about that. There's a whole bunch of right click and paste, Control V, Command V.
Yeah, because I'm a Mac guy, so the Command V to Control V back and forth with Linux drives me nuts.
And then there's the Linux, and then there's the Windows people. So we have a mixture, right? So when you talk in these labs and you're documenting these labs, sometimes it's good to be called out about what is here and what isn't here.
Yeah.
I do really like that it's all in one.
I don't save because I had personal ones. So next on your personal login next time, you're going to do that.
Well, that's not a personal one. So lab environment, fine. Plus, I guess I should saving credentials in a lab environment of any kind is probably bad posture and muscle memory practice. But
before you hit close,
yeah,
the tenant, because it is a hybrid SaaS, right, or a SaaS, all the features that come through show up in the console during those monthly releases. So this is your first time ever logging in, but if there was a release, which there was a week and a half ago, right, you would see all the new features that came out. So you're automatically getting these new features just because it's F5 distributed cloud.
Nice.
Yeah. And you can read through them if you want to. We just close them here, right? Sometimes you'll log in and see that, and sometimes you won't. Like John said, if there's a release, but privacy policy, just do what everyone does. Don't read it. Check it like everyone else does.
Right.
Not a lawyer.
Now, here we have something. We talk about roles. What's your role? And based on your role is what you're going to see in the UI, right? Here we say super user, so it exposes more. But if you were in an environment where you had multiple roles and multiple people, you could customize the UI to your workflow.
All right. So
you're down.
Keeping up with the
stuff. Keep going. You're past that.
Oh yeah. So that's another new feature. So it's been updated even since then. So yeah, action. Okay, there I am. All right. Next.
And then we talk about how good are you? Intermediate.
I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be confident. Oh, wait, it says stay intermediate. Okay, I'll stay intermediate. I will follow the rules.
For the lab, we say stayed in it because the tiles will change position and order based on what roles you selected.
Yeah.
And where you consider yourself. So to make the lab easy for everyone, we try to tell you where to stay. You don't have to. And
well, to make the lab easy. To follow with directions, I'll stay intermediate. All right, let's go. Okay.
And then what we do here, there you go. And what I did do here for people is just to verify if they wanted to. The next steps are all go to all the locations that we're going to change later, load balancers, origin pools, and the app firewall, just to show you there's no shenanigans going on here, right? There's nothing configured. You just got an account created. You're in here. Here's the initial login to UI, and nothing's pre-configured.
Yeah, you're a fresh user. Now,
and John, real quick, can you just talk through the welcome screen here and what I'm looking at? I'd like it's, a tiled screen,
Yeah.
but can you talk us through what that is?
Yeah, so the home screen is going to be features, right? Those application-centric features that I was describing earlier, spelt out in a descriptive format. So the home screen could be you working in one or multiple of these things. We'll take the security one as an example, because that's actually a feature that goes across many of them. So if it's a reusable object, like let's say the security or some of the shared configuration, those things have their own bucket. And then you can reuse items in that bucket across many other things. Now, what would normally be called something like ADC or load balancer or proxy, we tried to make that more of a descriptive term. So that lives under the app connect, right? Because I'm connecting applications together. So that's where the load balancer would live. The multi-cloud networking connect is a descriptor for how I want to link together applications if I have to. So I may have one part of it here and one part of it there. So there are descriptive names. If you read kind of the grayed out stuff down below, when you came into the intermediate, let's say persona level, this box is a lot smaller. If you come into the admin side, or this, say you pick the security one, then it kind of narrows out what the tiles look like for your persona. If you want to see everything, if you scroll down just a little bit, it'll be like all resources. Yeah, so all services. This is the list of all of them. So there are many individual things within each one of those, and many features that maybe a team adjacent or a team member adjacent would work on that maybe you're coming in here not doing. Things like synthetic monitoring. You saw some Nginx stuff there, accidentally clicking on Nginx 1. Shameless plug for the management of Nginx in here too. So this is the home screen of where you're going to navigate to those different kinds of resources.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that overview. Okay, so now are we gonna?
You can.
Move
if we want to prove that we don't have anything pre-configured, you can just real quick look at load balancers, origin pool, and
so he can't. So you got to click on multi-cloud app connect.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, did I skip that? I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you skipped a couple.
Or WAP. I used it through WAP, but either way, yep.
Yeah.
Let me see. I was supposed to start at WAP, right?
Yeah, it works
That's
either
right.
way.
I mean, if the UI is intuitive enough for you to just start clicking on things, that's a win, right? So great either way. But what you're seeing here is, the actual configuration for load balancers.
Yeah, nothing configured. Go ahead and hit manage. You're going to look at just load balancers, origin pools that fly out. And I like to just show the screen that nothing's configured here. And when we come back after you apply Terraform in 3 minutes or less, I'm betting money. We're going to come back here. No load balancer. There you go.
Now these are all resources available, right? So whether this load balancer is created on the regional edge in the F5 infrastructure, or the load balancer is created on Jason's NUC under his desk, it would show here. And that's like the power of the console being 100% SaaS, is there is no discrepancy of where services live.
Yeah.
You in this screen, because we chose multi-cloud app connect, security's in a different spot than the WAP page, the web app and API protection. But you can just go here to security. Yeah, one down, there you go. And app firewall. So these are the three things. And what we'll do next time to make it even more confusing or better, we could use the WAP tile page and they can see them too, but nothing's configured, right? So only thing that happened is an account was created for you here in the WWT tenant to do this lab, right? And we're going to walk you through that. So go ahead and check. That's about it of this lab.
Well, then you scroll to the bottom. That was affirmation that you made it to the bottom.
Yep. So we talk about a little bit of stuff here. You're getting some coffee, you're doing your stuff. We talk about credentials here, several different credentials. You're going to create one to access the API, but there could be service credentials, right? Administrators, custom service roles, service to service, service accounts. But there are several different my credentials that are created or can be created. So we're going to create next up here once this launches, but this is also why this takes some time. We're building the AWS infrastructure up as this lab goes along to speed things up. So timing is everything.
Yeah. Just for a little inside baseball on, the back end of how you guys build the labs on AWS. What are you doing for that to just build back end services?
It's all scripted out too as well. So we do a lot of scripting on our hosts that we're running here. So we got Docker containers running Ubuntu hosts that are doing Nginx on the back end scripts, and we're really just scripting it out here. So it's all
but it's all new infrastructure, right?
Yeah, it's all brand new. And even on the AWS side, it's all ephemeral. I mean, I always get that one a little bit off, but so there's a user account going to be created that you're going to log into. The account's created, the username with IAM, so that people can't really mess with stuff. And then all the entire back end. So the VPC, the EC2's launched. Here's what's going on with Cloud Init, which we'll talk about in the next labs coming up. And then, there you go, hit start.
So you got like a little inception going on where you are automating for the automation lab, right? So we need our little
automation on
whatever. See which level of inception that we're in.
There's automation on top of automation. Yeah,
that's right.
There's value in.
Go ahead, John.
I'll say there's value in showing it do something, right? Like creating the policy in the origin pool is something that you could do without anything in the back end, but showing that it's all, say, created at the same time gives everybody the same experience. So when you launch this lab or I launch this lab, everybody walks away with the same experience. If we just said, oh, go put in your own origin pool, the experience is whatever you decide to put in there, right? John's flower shop or, Ted's soil shop, the experience could be totally different. So we want to put something in there that's going to be universal for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, real quick question. Maybe. There it is. Okay. From Amit. If I have to practice labs regularly, is there something you guys can suggest for us to practice labs on a regular basis, paid free, anything works? So yeah, lots of suggestions. It really depends on what your focus is. And as Matt mentioned, what kind of hardware do you have? So are you looking to practice the SaaS? Are you looking to practice, stuff that you would put in on-prem? And so weigh in, and we can have that discussion. Maybe we'll move that to the end of the show if we have time for questions there, or you can hit me up on DevCentral for that as well. We can carry on the conversation there. But there's plenty of opportunity to practice and learn. As Ted was saying, the WWT infrastructure, they have tons of labs out there that allow you to do F5 things, but also other vendor things. There's lots of labs out there where you can build your skill set on a regular basis. On the F5 side, we have the UDF framework, and you can work through your account teams to get access to learn from there. Okay, I'm going to click start.
Yep.
I want to know where the 3-minute timer starts, Ted.
That's right.
Terraform. There's a lot of talking here. All right. Now we're just going to build some credentials. We talked about it, right? To get to the API, it's just not open, right? There's some type of security on it. We're going to just create a credential, a user credential here that you're going to use to authorize and access the endpoints through Terraform.
You got to click on the bubble. So click on the red. Yeah. There you go. And now you're going to get down to administration.
There you go. I thought the bubble was in there. Maybe not. The red bubble's always a place to go back anywhere.
Yep. It leads us home.
From here, we're going to action navigate to personal management and then credentials. And then we're going to add a credential.
Yep.
And just from the workflow of being in distributed cloud, there's a lot of this. You get to a place and the flow is pretty consistent on the tooltips along the way. Add credential, add pool, add HTTP load balancer.
Yep.
And so that's helpful to not have to relearn at every little menu you go through. Okay. Fill out the form.
We gave specifics, but it could be whatever you want. Obviously, I work for WWT in the ATC lab. So ATC lab, copy that password. Good. And this password is going to be used when you read this P12, right? You're going to download the P12. You got to read it into your environment variables to use in Terraform. So
here's a security first note. There is no forever API certificate, right? You can only go out so far, meaning that we do want you to, recycle these or create new ones. Having an API certificate that disappears out into the world, like Jason chose here for it to be pretty short, right?
One day.
You don't want to have those things disappear.
The max is 90. Max is 90, right, John? Go ahead and hit download. All right.
Oh, so how far?
So you can go out to 90 days.
Yeah.
90
and
days.
then you're done.
90 days is up.
Yeah.
But even if someone was to get this, or you were to get this lab times out in 2 hours, it won't work, right? Your account is going to be deleted after this lab's done.
Right.
By the way.
And you need the password that, to open it, which is what posted for everybody right there if they use that same password. But it is a couple parts of it.
So now you did that, right? So now we have our credentials. Our credentials are the Lex Lab. We've already built this, right? So now I'm going to take you in to AWS to verify that's all there. And again, it was just pre-built on the fly as we've been talking. We give the ephemeral account ID, username, and password that you can copy and paste. You're going to have the same issue here. Click IAM over on the left side and then start pasting in. There you go.
Control V. I got to figure this out.
Or sometimes it's right click. It's there. And I think this one's right click.
Is it double click? Like
No, it works. Command V, Control V. Which one is that? It should be Control V.
There we go. Command V. Okay, I am username. And then the password. And sign in. After logging in.
And we do some IAM policies here, right? Limit the access of what you can see. So like cost and usage, I know it's going to give an error. We know that's an error, right? You don't need to see this. This is not high level. We could.
your user shouldn't be doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about that. That's a rendering thing somewhere. I just noticed on my side. But we just go through, hey, dismiss the boxes if you want to read them. Really just going to go, the best place to look at this is go to EC2.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a new service, so you might have to click on services and go there. Is that where your navigation?
I just go to search to go to EC2, but however you're familiar with navigating, you could do the VPC and drill down. You could do that, but right here we have an EC2 instance that was spun up, so it shows all the resources there, and then I just go to load balancer. This is where we. Yeah.
So the stuff that I guess the previous screen was creating is all this stuff. So it created that VPC, the load balancer, the gateway.
You got a web server. You're there. Click your web server so we could get the origin pool. This isn't the screenshots of past things that you might have worked with before. Tells you to copy out that DNS web server ELB URL right there. And then when you're going to go up on the top browser and just verify it exists.
You can click the little double. Yeah, click that. No. There you go. Save your copy paste buttons.
I would just go to your browser or either one. It's valid. You can do it from within the lab or the other. And like I said,
it's public service, right?
We have, it's public. So this is the idea that this is your on-prem load balancer that you want to protect, right? So you have this environment. It's not really protected the way you'd like to. You're going to use F5 SaaS, and then in Terraform in the very next lab, we're going to apply that. So with a plug for
So
engineering.
everyone out there, you can spin up your Kali Linux right now and start going after that while we're not yet protected.
But you get to type it yourself because he's not going to put it in chat.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Quick.
get it fast. 1, 2, 3. All right, you're done. Okay. So we know that that's up and working. Here you are able to view. Go ahead.
Imagine it's this state for every customer, right? You have an application, a website, something that's sitting out there for the public to consume, right? In our case, it's that Nginx server because we had to give you some unified experience. But from here on out, this is the breadth of what we're trying to talk about in the lab. You can protect any application anywhere, right? Public facing or private. So this part, I guess we're going to get to the 3-minute timing. But origin would be that, site or application or API, right? That you want to have distributed cloud protect.
Yeah, and real quick, right before we came on, Ted, move out of the way so we can see the back of your picture, what you're talking about. Talk about that real quick.
This is for Boo. This is actually a picture I take when I mountain bike. And my idea was, unless you want to say it, Jason, this is today's modern application environment, and this is a firewall, right?
That's awesome.
And so I posted that, found my latest firewall. There's a road around it, right? They have a gate up here where no one on their mountain bikes are supposed to go around, but well.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
but clearly very well worn trail right around that gate, right?
Yeah, I love that because it's like a car can't make it through, which is a port, right?
Yeah.
But then the bikes can make it through. I'll do a call out to Jill because we worked together for a long time. Hers is the same example. It's a doggy door. I'm like, yeah, lots of things can fit through a dog door. A dog, a deer, a cougar. Like all of those things fit through a dog door.
Ferris Bueller's Principle, for those of us who are in the audience that are old enough to know what Ferris Bueller is.
Yeah, so we already done that. And so we verified the environment. We verified it's up. It's not architecture, right? So your lab's been that. That was the idea. You don't have to switch that here. You did it on your other one. But it does tell you the lab. Now we're ready to go back and apply Terraform. Really.
Okay.
And this is where, but only when you hit apply.
Yeah.
We're going to talk 3 minutes after.
All right, I'm going to get my timer going.
Oh, look, Terraform.
Once we hit apply. So let me get to my stop.
Learn more about Terraform and providers, infrastructure as code. There's some more details to the right. That's how this lab is built.
Okay. Terraform. So you're wearing the HashiCorp jacket there. And
I didn't get paid, or I think I attended one of their conferences to get this free sweatshirt. But
there you go. Okay, so all right, so click here in the link used in this lab. Okay, click start button when it becomes available. So, all right, so when do we start our timer here?
Well, we gotta get you in Visual Studio Code. We're gonna
actually do work first, right? You're gonna make me do some work.
Yes. We're going to launch Visual Studio Code. We're going to get through all the cleanup. We're going to talk about the variables that are pre-populated for you. When we hit apply, because if we want to when we want to talk about plan 2, just VS up at the search bar, however you find it. There you go.
I'll just search.
See, there's too much talking going on. I think it said search. But hey, we digress. All right.
Okay. Can everybody see that? Okay.
Yeah.
I marked done here. You can go through more, next, but just to get to it.
Oh, the bottom left mark done.
Yeah. There you go.
There you
go. Okay.
Maybe I should just let them do that. Okay, you did that. This one took them through it, but done's better for this purposes. Now we're going to open a folder.
Click open folder. Got it.
Development there, and then you're going to double click development down at the bottom. Now you got Terraform and open or OK. Just go ahead.
Top right, OK.
Top right, OK. Now, hopefully we trust us. Yes.
I don't know. Feeling like you're a little shady there, Ted.
Now, if you're not familiar with Visual Studio Code, right, we got our main TF over there, the variables TF, and what we're deploying. So if you want to click those in order, we'll just discuss them, myself or John probably. Main's just the provider, right? Here's your provider, what we're doing, and the resources required. So we got that. And then,
yeah, and Terraform is HashiCorp configuration language, right? It's HCL. Yeah. It's not quite JSON. It's not quite YAML. It's just, hey, let's create additional templating formats.
Yeah. Well, there's several things that can help with that too. Like, we're not going over really Terraform or even Visual Studio Code, but there are plugins that help you with language formatting and make sure that it's, set up correctly. But how people break out Terraform is everybody's unicorn, right? Or everybody's snowflake. I architect mine the same way Ted does. I call mine provider.tf instead of main, but same concept, right? And then you get into certain file types like variables, and then what the configuration looks like. So this could all be one file. It could be many files. But for readability, I love the way that Ted broke it out.
Yeah. Okay.
And then just to make it easy for me, then we pull, if you go on the left side down to variables real quick here, this is what we pulled in, right? So we have the P12 file, which we already know. We have that there at the top. We have the URL of the endpoint that we're going to post to. Then we have the sandbox ID, which is actually the platform that you launched specific to this use case, this user, and where they get in WWT's tenant. And then we have the origin pool, which is actually pulled out of when you built the AWS environment. There's your origin pool, the same URL that we just showed that's available to the public.
And that origin pool is the is the Nginx instance that's running out in AWS, right? Does that include the ELB in front of that?
That is the ELB.
That's actually the ELB's name to get
Gotcha.
to the Nginx server behind. Yeah. And then the fully qualified domain name that's tied back to the WWT tenant, right? So you need the front end, you got the back end and all that. So that's what's going to run. This Terraform, when we run, it's going to just run these variables with your username and password, which you're going to source here in a minute. And that's when we're going to time it.
Okay.
And if they want to see there, right? And again, this is not a Terraform class, but this is what we do. This is how you build the origin pool. The next one down is the WAP policy, which is the security piece we talked about.
It's that app firewall.
The app firewall. And, I just took all the defaults here, but this is completely customizable by anything you do, but for this. And then the load balancer. So there's a load balancer front ending that origin pool.
And so this is the secret sauce from the distributed cloud API that you're, analoging to the API in Terraform speak, right?
Yeah. It is literally the same. It's just a different part of the URI. So in that main TF where it called out the login, you see where I'm sorry, maybe it's under variables. Yeah.
Variables.
Where you see the WWT console line 5, if you swapped out /API for /console, it would be the login page. So they are the same thing. It's just what part you're talking to. Humans, programmatic, right?
Right. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right.
We're past there. Yeah. We talked about all the variables, and they explain them in the lab, what they are and what they do. Here's the action, right?
Okay.
We're getting so close.
We're getting so close. Terminal. I open the terminal at the top, just terminal run. There you go. New terminal. Pop it right there at the bottom. There you go. Now what we're going to do is we have to source your password. So you're going to read it. So we're going to read it, import it, and store it as a variable. You can copy and paste that, by the way, but hey. If you type quickly, and now you're not going to see it because
everything. I want to type something, man.
So, okay, now I want to be clear here. Some people say, "Oh, I'm confused." We read it with the S, so it's not displayed here. So right now it's wanting your password, and if that's the password you use, copy and paste that password, unless you want to type it. Yeah, there you go. Hit enter. So now you just read the file. It's password protected with the password that you put on it. And now we're going to export it. There you go. And there you go. To get echo it over.
And
to
this is our.
Yep.
Let's see.
We're so close.
Okay.
There you go. Threw that in back. Uh-oh. Terraform init. John, if you want to talk about that. So now we're almost there. We're almost at magic sauce. We're almost out of time even. So 3 minutes is it. Hopefully.
All right. So while he's doing a init is basically pulling in the provider and all the resources. So keep in mind, while we update the Volterra provider, there's new resources, new features, things that show up. You need to get those things. So we want to do that every time. So you're using the version. Now, there is some magic in there around which versions you're allowed to use, but you're pulling that in at runtime, basically. Right?
Is Terraform plan that's like a dry run, right?
Dry run.
Plan is a dry run.
It's going to show you everything it's going to build, but since we're running out of time, oh, hey, there you go. And then, here's the magic. Get your timer. So now everything we've talked about and all the security is right here. You're going to apply it. There's a little yes to do in the middle.
Yeah, timer going.
Okay, so we're going to apply.
Apply. Yes. It was at 58, John. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. You ready?
Yep.
Hold on. Oh,
Boom.
too late.
I got mine going.
It's 58:20 or 58 even. Done. Okay. Well, there you go.
Well, I got to 4 seconds, so that didn't.
Okay, so now if you wanted to, and we wanted to, we could source it. If you roll down a little bit, you can see what was built. So we did a dry run, we built it, and if you really wanted to verify it, right?
Terraform show.
Do a show, right? And it'll show you everything that's built. That's everything they built, has the things. But now, that's it. Now you're up and running. You have a front end of F5 Distributed Cloud with a security policy running, right?
And we can go see that, right?
We can.
If you jump back into
we're going to go next or there. Yeah. If you want to go real quick here to see that was built. And then the next lab actually takes you here. So if you do next. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Again, it's exciting to see it happen. So we just want to go click buttons.
Well, you want to click buttons in this part when we went from one to the other. Launches a little tool that John introduced me to that's kind of just generate some traffic. And, no one wants to see an empty UI, right?
Yeah. I think the exciting thing about automating is the actual process of building automation, because the running of automation is it's fairly anticlimactic, right? It's like
you're spot on, right? When I do demos of automation, it's the explaining how I decided to build the automation, not clicking the button. Nobody really gets excited when you type Terraform apply. Right.
It's like that episode of The Office where when Michael Scott started his own paper company, and they're like realizing that they're, the more paper they sell, the deeper in debt they're going. And he's like, can you re-crunch? And he's like, crunch.
Yeah. There you go. So I downloaded a tool. We ran the tool. It took a little bit to generate some traffic. Now we're back in the UI, and we can look at the traffic here. So I take you back to the WAP tile because that's the way I do it. I mean, and there's many ways to do it here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what happens. So there is a timeout on there.
Good thing
I saved my credentials.
Look at that. Maybe I should tell people to save it.
It's to stop your friendly neighborhood, let's say walker buyer, and leave your console unlocked.
Yeah. It's bad form. I shouldn't have done that.
Well, we do. I do check the load balancer here, right, and the origin pool just to show them that it's there, and then we'll come back to the security overview as it paints the data and shows you that it's actually blocking traffic. There you go.
You've already got a whole bunch of events
there.
Yeah. Yep.
But hey, it's no longer the blank screen. That's nice. So we can see our origin pool.
And that's that ELB.
Yeah. ELB. Yeah. And then the app firewall is there.
And app firewalls are that reusable object. That's where I was describing. They're in two different spots because you may have this amazing WAP policy that you want to use on this load balancer and another load balancer, right? It allows you to create a reusable object.
And then the highlight is just the security. So, and you know what's even nicer? Here's a live demo that Jason wants to do, and you have a lab, and those little things, it didn't bite you. So we got some security events. I tell people, hey, scroll through, explore everything. You can adjust the refresh rate, how long it's been running, right? There's threat intelligence, bot traffic. We can go, this could be another 30-minute talk, but this is actually just showing you had that existing environment, you front-ended it with this environment, and now it's immediately intercepting and blocking traffic, right?
And you can lock.
Yeah.
So like another step after this would, of course, be locking just F5 distributed cloud to talk to your, in this case, Nginx server or origin pool. And those addresses are static, right? So you're not going to be just opening us up from random places. But that way you can start to lock it down. So there's, implement security, and then implement, I guess, WAP security, and then implement it just so that we're allowed to talk to it. And then all your user traffic comes through us.
Awesome.
And that's it. That's the lab. You did it. And you did it. That was without the demo gods jumping in and biting anyone.
Yeah. Well, and really, even on the automation side for what we deployed, it really wasn't that much code in order for that to happen. And so, that should be encouraging for those of you who have not yet started your automation journey with things like that. It's like the mountain isn't so high to climb, and so that's exciting, and it should be encouraging. And the other thing I wanted to say before we jump from here is that where'd my thing go? It's gone. It's missing. I had a banner for the spring roadshows for F5 Academy, because we're talking about exactly this. We're talking about not the automation side, but the web app API protection for distributed cloud. That's like the featured talk on the spring roadshow for North America. So if you haven't checked out what cities near you those are going to be at, highly recommend you go to those. We'll be talking about Big IP Next access at that as well, but the feature talk is web app API security. And so if this interests you, if this is something you're missing in your own portfolio, you're looking for additional protection for the issue behind Ted's shoulders there of you've got the gate, but the gate is being breached often. Check it out, dig in. Guys, thanks so much for being here today. Ted, thanks for the lab. And if those of you who are watching go out to WWT and sign up, you can walk through this and other labs. I think let me share this.
Many other labs. Yeah, there's
a lot of labs out there, and so this is one of many that you can participate in, build your skills, ask questions, and share that out. That should be out there now in the comments. For LinkedIn, I don't know why. Let me see if I get that over here. We are no longer able to send our comments directly to LinkedIn anymore in my portal here. So anyway, I got that there as well. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining today. And for those of you out there in the community, I'll see you next Thursday. Boo's going to join me, as well as Alexandro from WestCon. And so we're going to have a great session on F5 Distributed Cloud DNS. And so we look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Thanks again. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.